Most people right now are letting AI kind of atrophy their ability to think. They're basically training their own replacement. But what if I told you that the top 1% have figured out a secret? They use AI backwards, not to just get answers, but to actually train their own brains and outsmart pretty much any situation.
So that's what we're going to break down in this explainer. We're going to look at this counterintuitive system that the world's top performers are using to get smarter and faster, all by completely flipping the way we think about artificial intelligence.
Look, we are living through a massive AI revolution, and it's creating what people call a K-shaped curve. This is what happens after a huge disruption. Some fortunes just shoot straight up, while others fall off a cliff. The folks who learn to really harness AI, they're on that upward path. But those who don't, or who just use it passively, well, they're at serious risk of being left behind. The stakes literally couldn't be higher.
So how do we make sure we're on the upward path of that K? We're going to walk through a 5-step framework. First, we'll really dig into this AI divide. Then, we'll talk about mastering intelligent laziness, prompting like a genius, building your own intelligent gym, and finally, embracing the absolute genius of being foolish.
Okay, so let's just start with the hard truth. The way most people are using AI right now, for quick answers and easy wins, is actually a trap. It feels super productive in the moment, but it's really just setting them up for that downward slope of the K. So why do we fall into this trap? Well, it's because of a little biological glitch called completion bias. Our brains are basically wired to love that little dopamine hit we get from checking something off a to-do list. So we end up treating all our tasks as equal. Replying to a simple email feels just as satisfying as cracking a $1 million strategy problem. This leads to what you could call priority blindness, and it's where AI can become more of a crutch than a booster rocket. This brings us to our first real strategy: learning to be intelligently lazy. This is all about getting super surgical with what you delegate to AI versus what you really obsess over yourself. It's about working smarter, not just faster. To do this, you need to split all of your tasks into 2 big zones. First, you have capped payoffs. These are tasks where the value just flattens out really quickly. Nobody cares if you spend an extra hour making an internal PowerPoint look absolutely breathtaking. This is your zone of laziness. Then you've got uncapped payoffs. And this is your zone of obsession, where being just 1% better can lead to exponential results. And the guiding principle for that zone of laziness comes from a Nobel laureate named Herbert Simon. It's a concept called satisficing, which is just a mashup of satisfy and suffice. The goal here isn't perfection. It's just to stop when the work is good enough and move on to something that actually matters. A really simple way to remember what to offload is with the DRAG framework. Use AI for drafting, just to beat that blank page problem. Use it for research to summarize articles and gather intel in minutes. Use it for analysis to find patterns in all that messy data. And finally, use it for all the grunt work. The reformatting, translating, all the boring stuff. Just outsource it all. Okay, so now you know what to delegate. Awesome. But that's only half the battle, right? Now we need to cover how to delegate it effectively. And this means shifting from just asking AI simple questions to actually architecting sophisticated prompts. The first big mental shift you have to make is to stop treating AI like it's a calculator. A calculator is predictable. 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. AI, on the other hand, is a probability engine. It's like a genius, but a kind of drunk one. It just predicts the next most likely word, which means it can be brilliant one moment and then just make things up the next. You don't just ask it, you have to guide it. Guiding the AI means climbing what we can call the intelligent hill. Most people are at the bottom, just using basic prompts. The first step up is one-shot prompting, where you give it one clear example. The next is few-shot, where you use a bunch of examples to really ground the AI in reality. Higher still is chain-of-thought reasoning, where you literally force the AI to slow down. And at the very peak are AI agents, where you can prompt a whole team of AIs to work on a single task for you. Now, for that third level, chain of thought, this little phrase is pure magic. Just adding, think step by step, show me your thinking, forces the AI to be more deliberate, to articulate its reasoning, and it drastically reduces those annoying hallucinations. You're basically making the drunk genius sober up and show its work. So, okay, you're delegating better, you're prompting smarter, you're incredibly efficient. And honestly, this is where most people stop. But here's the plot twist. The top 1%, they go one step further. They deliberately slow things down. The question is, why? Because long-term intelligence isn't built on convenience, it's built through resistance.
So welcome to the Intelligent Gym, where the goal isn't to make things easier, but to make your mind stronger.
And this means knowing when to switch gears. For information tasks, all that stuff in the DRAG framework, the goal is to remove all friction. Just get it done. But for transformation tasks, the things you truly need to master, the goal is to add productive friction.
Now, this requires a total mindset shift. See, most people use AI as a wheelchair for the mind. And if you can walk but you sit in a wheelchair all day, your muscles atrophy. AI becomes like zero gravity for your thinking. No friction, no load, no growth. Instead, you need to think of AI as your spotter at the gym. A spotter doesn't lift the weights for you. They're there to help you lift heavier than you ever could alone, safely.
So here's exactly how to do it. First, you study a concept on your own. Then you use AI as your spotter to apply progressive overload. You start at level 1. Quiz me like I'm a high school student. Then you level up. Ask me questions like a college student. Then, grill me like you're interviewing me for a job. And finally, you go all in. Challenge me like an irate boss who thinks I'm totally unprepared. This forces you to deepen your understanding under real pressure.
Now for the final, and I think the most important, internal adjustment that unlocks everything else we've talked about. It's about having the courage to play the full today so that you can be the genius tomorrow. When Satya Nadella took over Microsoft, he said it was a know-it-all culture, just terrified of admitting any weakness. He made one huge change. He said they would become a learn-it-all culture, where people were actually given permission to say, I don't know. And the result? A 10x growth in their market cap. It turns out the biggest obstacle to intelligence isn't ignorance, it's our own ego.
And this is where AI is the ultimate training ground. Pick a topic everyone in your field thinks you know, but you secretly don't. Then go to AI and ask it the most basic, stupid questions you can possibly think of. Things like, explain this to me in a simpler way, or teach me like I'm 10 years old. The beautiful thing is, AI will never judge you. It never rolls its eyes. It's a completely safe space to be a beginner again.
And that's the real goal, isn't it? The true purpose of intelligence isn't to know everything. It's to finally stop pretending that you do. It's about fully accepting who you are and where your knowledge gaps are so you can actually start to grow. So, that K-shaped curve is happening right now. The divide is very, very real. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Are you going to keep saying, one day I'll figure this out, or are you going to make today, day one?